We are delighted to have our judge as Mr. Deepak Bhattacharjee. Mr. Deepak Bhattacharjee is a senior advocate designated by the High Court of Andhra Pradesh in the year 2016. Sir is regularly engaged as a senior advocate in the High Court of Telangana, High Court of Andhra Pradesh, Supreme Court of India, NCLT, NCLAT, DRT, DRAT by various law firms and body corporates. More than 400 plus judgments in which Mr. Bhattacharjee appeared as counsel are reported in the law journals. It is our pleasure to have you, sir. Coming to the rules, each speaker will be speaking for 15 minutes each. There will be 1 minute for rebuttal and 1 minute for sir rebuttal. Any extra time remaining to the speaker 1 shall be added to the speaker 2. I'll be showing placards of 3 minutes when 3 minutes are left, 1 minute when 1 minute is left, and time's up. It is the judge's discretion if you want to extend the time. Judges are free to give the feedback post the rounds. All the best, counsels. Petitioner 1 may have the screen.
My permission of your lordship, may I proceed? The counsel seeks permission from your lordship case.
Yeah, please.
Much obliged, your lordship. Your lordship, the counsel is here in the case of queer communities, NGOs versus Republic of Replemento, and is here under the jurisdiction of Article 139A and 406 of CRPC. Your lordship, first I would like to deal with the facts of the case, which is that after the declaration of the right to privacy as a fundamental right by the highest court of the country, and that is Republic of Replemento, the said law which criminalized the consensual sexual act of the adults, that is above the age of 18 years, was held to be violation of the Article 14, 15, 19, 21. However, in the above decision, the civil rights of the LGBTQ community were not discussed, and the plea filed for granting civil rights to such community were also dismissed by highest court of Republic of Replemento. Thereafter, your lordship, various writ petitions were filed before different high courts, and to avoid any judgment differences, the Supreme Court of the Republic of Replemento has taken up the case to itself. Your lordship, herein we are here to discuss 4 issues in this case. If your lordship is well satisfied with the facts of the case, may I proceed with the issue?
Yes.
May I proceed with the issue, your lordship, if you are satisfied with the facts of the case?
Yeah, please.
Okay, your lordship. Thank you. Much obliged, your lordship. I am the first counsel, and I shall be dealing with the first and second issue. My co-counsel, Mr. Ankit Kumar, will deal with issue 3 and issue 4. My first issue is whether or not the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954 can be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQIA community. Your lordship, the council would like to humbly submit that the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954 to include the LGBTQ community. Your lordship, the Act of the Hindu Marriage Act specifies that person to whom the act is applicable. I would like to make a note of this. This specifies the person to whom the act is applicable. Clauses A, B, and C of the subsection 1 of section 2 make the act applicable to a person who is Hindu by religion in any of its forms or developments, including a Virashava, a Lingayat, or a follower of the Brahmo, Prarthana, or Arya Samaj, and to a person who is Buddhist, Jain, or Sikh by religion. It is also applicable to any person domiciled in the territories of India who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi, or Jew by religion. The applicability of the act is therefore comprehensive and applicable to all the persons domiciled in the territory of India who are not Muslims, Christians, Parsis, or Jews by religion. Hence, I would like to make a point and request the bench to take a note that the Hindu Marriage Act can be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQ community. Moving on, your lordship, Special Marriage Act 1954 can also be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQ community, as the act do not explicitly bar the union of the same sex, as the non-recognition of the same-sex marriage violates the principles of equality, non-arbitrariness, non-discrimination, individual dignity, and personal autonomy under Article 14, 15, subclause 1, 19, and 21, and Constitution of India. Your Lordship, I also like to make a note that in the book of J.P. Singh's interpretation of statutes, literal rule of interpretation is held to be the highest degree. In this, it is the default rule of interpretation of statute because the intention of the legislature is to deduce from the words and the language used. According to this, the court is to give effect if language of the statute is plain and has no business to look into the consequences which arise thereto. Your Lordship, Section 4 of the Special Marriage Act, in it, the legislature in its wisdom, if you go by the literal meaning, the legislature in its wisdom purposefully chose to use gender-neutral words instead of gender-specific words, thereby enabling same-sex couples in marry to take benefit of this act. Hence, I would like to make a point here that even a Special Marriage Act can also be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQ community. Hence, with these 2 points, Your Lordship, I would like to rest my first issue and humbly submit that the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954 can be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQ community. Your Lordship, I have dealt my issue fairly. If you do not have any inquiries regarding it, I would like to move to my second issue.
Good counsel, but I have a small question that both the Special Marriage Act and also Hindu Marriage Act 1955 refers to bride and bridegroom.
Yeah,
so how
yes,
do you fit in the LGBTQ community in the setup under both the statutes?
Yes, Your Lordship. In this case, if you refer to Arun Kumar judgment of 2019, Arun Kumar versus Inspector General of Registrar, Tamil Nadu, the judgment takes the clause of self-identification as has been mentioned in the NALSA judgment, which was passed in 2014, where a person can identify as any gender without needing a state or external body to verify their identity. So, Your Lordship, they can identify themselves as a bride or a bridegroom to enter into the institution of marriage. Evolving this clause, it says that if an individual wishes to identify as a trans woman or a trans person, they have the constitutional right. This lays the foundation of the marriages under within the LGBT community, and hence Hindu Marriage Act can be read in a manner to include the LGBT community as well, Lordship. Now, coming to your point of the Special Marriage Act, Your Lordship, there is an exclusion rule mentioned in schedule in section 2B, schedule 1 and part 1 and part 2. But there is no such mention where it cannot take account that two males cannot marry.
And one more question.
Yes,
we are
Lordship.
referring to frequently LGBTQ community.
Yes,
what is the full form of LGBTQ?
LGBTQIA community and plus we are mentioning here.
Yes.
Sir, Your Lordship, the L stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual.
What does Q stand for?
Queer. They have not yet decided on which orientation they should go on.
Good, good. Yes. Petition number 2.
Your Lordship, I am not done with the second issue as well. May I proceed with the second issue?
Yes.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, whether the second issue is whether or not civil rights can be granted to the members of the community. The most fundamental question. Your Lordship, the Council would like to humbly submit that the civil rights can be granted to the members of the community. In contemporary civilized jurisprudence, with states increasingly recognizing the status of same-sex relationship, it would be retrograde to describe such a relationship as being perverse, deviant, or unnatural. In this regard, the view taken by the Human Rights Committee of the United Nations in Nicholas Tonen versus Australia in 1994, it was noted that reference to sex in Article 2, Paragraph 1 and Article 26 of the ICCPR would include sexual orientation. Discrimination based on any grounds would undermine an individual's personal autonomy. Also, Your Lordship, Article 21 provides that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Such procedure established by law must be fair, just, and reasonable. The right to life and liberty affords protection to every citizen or non-citizen, irrespective of their dignity or orientation without discrimination. Your Lordship, although the dignity is an amorphous concept which is incapable of being defined, it is core intrinsic value of every human being. Dignity is considered essential for a meaningful existence. Hence, Your Lordship, this community should be given their civil rights and they deserve very well. Also, Your Lordship, if you do not have any, yes, Your Lordship.
I think you may be also be referring to the latest decision of Barack Obama, the President of the United States of America.
Indeed, Your Lordship, the case was Obergall versus Hodges in the 2015, yes. June 26. It was a remarkable decision and it made all the developing countries to think over it and ponder over it and make suitable changes in the constitution as well and provide a meaningful designation, place and dignity to the citizens.
Now, what about Article 16 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Your Lordship, it provides proper dignity to every individual and holds them accountable and holds the government also accountable. Also, Your Lordship, since it was mentioned in the fact that the Republic of Replimento is part of various international agreements, so by the fact that Pacto Sunt Servanda, it is a duty bound, the country is duty bound to enact those laws in their domestic laws as well.
Fine.
Your Lordship, if you are satisfied with my with
yes.
all,
yes.
Then I would request my co-counsel, Mr. Ankit Kumar, to come up with his issue 3 and issue 4 and discuss the matters of transfer. Yes. Your Lordship, much obliged. It was a pleasure pleading for you.
Thank you, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, I, Ankit Kumar, counsel to stand before you for the cause of petitioner, Cure Community NGO, with my co-counsel, Mr. Rehan Danais, in the case of Cure Community NGO versus Republic of Replimento. If your Lordships are well versed with the fact of the case, the counsel seeks permission to notify the court about the division of issue.
Yes, yes.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, I will be dealing with the issue number 3 and issue number 4 of the case, wherein the issue number 3 talks about whether or not the customs, traditions, rights, rituals form an exhaustive code as contested by the Republic of Replimento. And issue number 4 deals with whether or not the members from the said community can be allowed to be married as per the rituals of their respective religions. Proceeding with the argument of issue number 3, which states whether or not the customs, traditions, rights, rituals form an exhaustive code as contested by the Republic of Replimento, the counsel on behalf of the petitioner side would like to humbly submit that the customs, traditions, rights, rituals does not form an exhaustive code as contested by the Republic of Replimento. The argument lies in the fact that, sir, the counsel would like to draw your kind attention towards Article 13 of the Constitution, wherein Article 13 of the Constitution talks about laws inconsistent with or in derogation with the fundamental rights, wherein under subclause 1 of the Article 13, it says that all laws in force in the territory of India immediately before the commencement of this Constitution, insofar as they are inconsistent with the provisions of this part, shall to the extent of inconsistency be void. And further, the clause 3 of this article refers that in this article, unless the context otherwise requires, law includes any ordinance, law, bylaw, rules, regulations, notification, customs, and usages having the territory of India the force of law. From this sub-clause, it is very clear that if any customs, usages, rights, or rituals are inconsistent with the part 3 of the Constitution, that should be declared void to the extent of the inconsistency with the fundamental rights. Therefore, here we can say the custom and traditions, rights, and rituals could not and never ever form the exhaustive code under this issue. Further, moving to the point that some ancient and historical scriptures like Rigveda, Kama Sutra, and temples of Khajuraho depicts that in the Manu Smriti, Arthashastra, to acknowledge the homosexual act as sin and unnatural. Hence, there is an unambiguous position with respect to the homosexual acts in the customs. Then, which customs is to be accepted and which customs is to be disregarded? What is the authenticity of the acceptance of that very customs? There is an unambiguous position with regard to the ancient sources as well with regards to the homosexual act. Therefore, the customs could never be able to form the exhaustive code under this issue. Further, moving to the another issue, your lordship, the customs, traditions, and rituals and outdated are needs to be modified according to the needs and wants of the modern society. The council would like to submit the fact that for a custom to be a valid law under the Republic or Replimento, it has to satisfy the certain conditions. That is, to be ancient, it must be clear, it must be unambiguous and reasonable, and it must not be in any case be opposed to the morality or public policy. Therefore, in the light of these arguments, depriving a community, that's LGBTQIA community, with basic human rights at present date on the basis of sexual orientation is unreasonable and opposed to the morality of and goods of the society. And in present days, your lordship, the society runs according to the values and notions of the human dignity and respects the principles of individualism, where individualism states that every individual of either gender, either caste, either religion has the inherent rights to possess freedom in every aspect of their life, in every parts of their life. Further different, and therefore, sir, the council would like to submit certain acts and observations of customs which has been declared void because they came inconsistent with the part 3 of the constitution. Like, sir, in mid 18th century, the customs of Sati Pratha were abolished, and after the enactment and coming into force of the Hindu personal laws, or in the countries of the Republic of Replimento, we are moving from the patriarchal mindset of the society towards the society of equality, wherein now at the present date we are giving every rights to the females to which they are entitled to. Therefore, now the time has come and arrived to recognize the rights of LGBT community as well. Therefore, the certain personal laws which were enacted in the mid 19th century, 1955, the law of Hindu Marriage Act or Succession Act, has given the rights to females as well with regards to the succession adoption as well. But this clearly indicates that in the light of the above argument, the concept would like to submit, sir, that it clearly indicates that customs and rituals and traditions are integral, but are not exhaustive and absolute in nature, and they are subjected to the change of the society. Further, moving to another argument, the concept would like to submit that homosexuality, bisexuality, and other sexual orientations are equally natural and reflexive of expression of choice and inclination. Founded on concept of two persons who are eligible to in law express such consent, and it is neither a physical or a mental illness. Rather, they are natural variations of expressions and free thinking process. As observed in the case of Navtesh Singh Johar versus Union of India of the year 2018 Supreme Court cases 4321, where sexual orientations has been defined by the Supreme Court as it is one of the many biological phenomena which is natural and inherent in an individual and is controlled by neurological and biological factors. And the science of sexuality has theorized that an individual exerts little or no control over whom he or she gets attracted to. Therefore, any discrimination on the basis of one's sexual orientation would entail a violation of fundamental rights of freedom of expression mentioned in Article 19, Subclause 1, Subclause A of the Constitution of India. And so the Council would like to move to the further argument that any attempt to push and shove a homogeneous, uniform, consistent, and standardized customs traditions, rites, and rituals throughout the society would violate the principles of constitutional morality. At present, after the enactment of Constitution, every act and observation is taken into consideration and given effect after considering with that whether it is consistent with the constitutional morality or not. If the concept substantiates the fact of constitutional morality, then it states that constitutional morality has been considered as a paramount reverence for the Constitution, and it specifies the norms for the institutions to survive, and expectations of behavior that will meet not just the text but the soul of the Constitution. Therefore, any devotion and fidelity to the constitutional morality must not be equated with the popular sentiment that are prevalent at the particular point of time, and hence it must be changed for the betterment of individualism of LGBTQIA people. Your Lordship, if you are well versed and satisfied with the argument in issue number 3, may I proceed to issue number 4?
Yes, if your submission is accepted, then we follow the latest Sabrimala judgment. But Sabrimala judgment could not be implemented because they say that court cannot interfere when it is a matter of usage and the customs. The woman is not permitted to enter the temple as per the usage and customs. And Supreme Court gave a direction, but they could not implement it. So do you mean to say that in each and every case, taking into the consideration the fundamental rights chapter protected under chapter 3, it can be implemented?
The council totally agreed with your points, sir, but the council would like to submit that indeed, the judgment of Sabrimala has not been implemented to the extent the Supreme Court wants, but it is the responsibility of the State of the Republic of Filipino to provide such mechanism, to provide such infrastructure to the in the society, so that the mindset of the people gets changed, and we are living in we are witnessing and living in the 21st century, and in today's century, not in the Republic of Filipino, but in all the nations all over the world, the rights of dignity, the principles of individualism is followed to all the people, whether it be of gender, whether it be of female, whether it be of male, or whether it be of LGBTQ people. But somehow we have to give them the rights to the females. If it could not be implemented, then it is the responsibility of states what the council would like to submit.
So your submission is again supported by Justice Nariman's view in Johor's case, 2018, 10 SCC, page 1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Thanks.
Your Lordship. May I proceed to issue number 4, Your Lordship?
Yes.
Your Lordship, issue number 4 talks about whether or not members from the said community can be allowed to be married as per the rituals of their respective religions. The council, on behalf of the petitioner side, would like to humbly submit that the members of LGBTQIA community can be allowed to be married as per the rituals of their respective religions. Sir, the council would like to submit the fact that here the respondents would come with the view that the LGBTQ community should not be given the rights to marry as per their respective religions, with compared to the personal laws of every religions. They will compare the LGBTQ rights to the Hindu personal law, to the Muslim personal law, to the Judaism personal law, and Christianity's personal law. That in neither of the religions, there is mentioning of LGBTQ people, there are only mentioning of bride and bridegroom. But the concept would like to submit the fact that in the countries like Republic of Filipino, there exist many ethnic groups and tribal community, which have their own religion, which have their own religions apart from Hinduism, apart from Muslims, Sharia law, apart from Judaism, apart from Christianity. And they observe their own festivals. They conduct their own marriage ceremony. They conduct their own acts in their religions. and they have their own way of life to maintain all privileges in matters connected with the marriage, successions, adoptions, according to their own customary travels law. So here the LGBT community should not be compared with the personal laws of the all religions of Hinduism, Muslims, Judaism, or Christianity. But we should have to see the LGBTQ community as an independent community, just like we are seeing the other ethnic community and tribal community. And they are following and they are conducting their own religions, they are conducting their own marriages according to their own respective religions. The LGBT community should be given this chance of right as well. For the moving to the another argument, your lordship, the LGBTQ rights in India have recently evolved and gained its momentum after the decision of Navdeep Singh Johar versus Union of India. Citation 2018 Supreme Court cases 4321, where it was observed that natural identity of an individual should not be treated to be absolutely essential to his being, and said inherent nature and associated natural impulse in that regard needs to be accepted. And further, Supreme Court held in this case that Indian Constitution bans discrimination based on sexual orientation via category of sex under Article 15 and 16 and 19 of the Constitution. In the case of Nalsa versus Union of India of citation 2014 Supreme Court cases, paragraph 5, page number 438, where Justice Sikri has observed that transgender should be recognized as a third gender and should be entitled to get enough cases like rights to vote, rights to marriage, rights to have property as well. And further, in this case, it has been held that discrimination on the basis of gender identity is constitutionally prohibited. Further, the council would like to submit that marriage, apart from regulating sex life, is also a relationship grounded on economic and emotional interdependency. So the council would like to substantiate the fact that marriage is not only for sex. There are other aspects of marriage must be taken into consideration when the two people getting involved, as my dear counsel have stated the fact that in a case, the LGBT people have the right to help to get involved and have the rights of marriage. And further, moving to the another argument, being identified as a third gender in the case of Nalsa versus Union of India, the LGBTQ community under every religion are entitled to have rights to marriage under Article 21 of the Constitution and by the virtue of Article 2 GHR. Your Lordship, the Council would like to draw your kind attention towards Article 1 and Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, wherein Article 1, it states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. This article does not differentiate between the male and female, between the similar sex, between the on any grounds. This article does not differentiate. It states that all human beings who are born free have the equal in dignity and rights. Further, Article 2 states that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration. Whatever be the freedoms are guaranteed under our Universal Declaration of Human Rights, every human beings, either of females, either of males, either of any community, including LGBTQ community, they are entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this community, in this declaration. Further, Article 6, Clause 1 of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, it states that every human being has the inherent right to life, and this right shall be protected by law and shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life. So, sir, your Lordship, the Council would like to make you aware about the fact that in international law also the fact that every human being, whether of any caste, whether of any religion, whether of any community, are entitled to every rights, every freedoms which the others, the community of females and males are enjoying with. Further, if your Lordship, if you are satisfied with the issue number 4. May I proceed to the prayers?
Yes.
Therefore, in light of the issue raised, argument advanced, and authorities cited, it is humbly prayed that this honorable court may be pleased to adjudge and declare prayer number 1, that the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and the Special Marriage Act 1954 can be read in a manner to include members from the LGBTQIA community. Prayer number 2, the members of the community. 3, that the customs, traditions, rights, rituals, forms, and exhaustive code contested by the Republic of Replimento. Issue number 4, that the members from the said community can be allowed to be married as per the rituals of their respective religions and request the apex court to pass any order that this honorable court may deem fit in interest of justice, equity, and good conscience. That's
I got a small question. I have got a question.
Yes, Lord.
Suppose if you extend this your submission to a person professing Islam as a religion, how do you defend Islam or a Christian?
Pardon, my lord. I did not get the question.
If suppose the person who is from the LGBT community is a Muslim, can you enforce the civil rights or the constitutional guarantee?
Indeed, your lordship. No, because the Constitution of India never differentiates. Never differentiates the rights of people on the ground of their different personal laws. The Constitution of India, the Part 3 of the Constitution of India, guarantees rights of equality to everyone, whether they are of religions of Muslims, whether they are religions of Hinduism, whether they are religions of community of Judaism or Christianity.
Under the Sharia law, it is an offense, punishable under the Sharia law, and the punishment is death penalty.
Indeed.
I accept your submission, sir. The aspect.
Thank you, Lordship.
Greetings of the day, my lord.
Yes.
The council, on behalf of the respondent, seeks permission to approach the honorable court.
Yes.
My lordship, issue 1 and 2 will be dealt by me, and issue 3 and 4 will be dealt by my co-counsel. Now the council seeks permission to move on to the issues. Issue 1, whether or not Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954 can be read in a manner to include LGBTQIA community. The council, on behalf of the respondent, humbly submits that the LGBTQIA community cannot be included under Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act. Firstly, it is not in consonance with the existing laws, because there is no special mention of same-sex marriage anywhere in Hindu Marriage Act as well as in Special Marriage Act. As per section 4C of Special Marriage Act, which says the male should have attained the age of 21 years and the female should have attained the age of 18 years. Similarly, in Hindu Marriage Act, section 2.5 says the bridegroom has completed the age of 21 years and the bride the age of 18 years at the time of marriage. So it's very clear that in both the acts, the term man and woman or the term bride and bridegroom seems to apply to a heterosexual couple only. So that's why LGBTQ cannot be included under Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act. Secondly, the case Navteej Singh case does not extended the right to privacy to include the same-sex marriage. Also, it neither recognized nor accepted in any uncodified personal laws and codified statutory laws, and any interference with the existing marriage laws would create havoc. Further, Delhi High Court, in a reply to a plea which was filed by Mitra and 3 equal right activists, by dismissing the plea, the court said that marriage depends upon age-old customs, rituals, practices, cultural ethos, and societal values. They also read down the provision of Section 377 of the IPC covering homosexuality. The Supreme Court only decriminalized a particular human behavior, but neither intended to nor did in fact legitimize human conduct in question. Also, in a reply by the Ministry of Law and Justice, the consideration of societal morality are relevant in consideration of the validity of a law. But here in this situation, it is totally against the consideration of social morality and public order. Also, further, fundamental rights under Article 21 is subject to procedure established by law, and the same cannot be extended to include the fundamental rights of same-sex marriage. It will disturb the sanctity of marriage and the concept of Indian family unit, which comprise of husband, a wife, and children, where husband is presumes as a biological man and wife is presumed as a biological woman. It's a union between a biological man and a biological woman. And it's a also living together is nowhere comparable to the concept of Indian family unit. So the council humbly submits that it would only disrupt the system cemented over the years, revolving around our customs, religions, and it would lead to complete havoc and with a delicate balance of personal law. So that's why they must not be read under Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act. If the Lordship is satisfied with the arguments, then the council would like to move on to the next issue.
My only issue is that, only question is that both under the Hindu Marriage Act and also Special Marriage Act, the word man and woman is not used.
Sir, thank you for the question, my Lordship. But Section 2(5) of Hindu Marriage Act clearly says the eligible age and the gender of the people in the terms, and the term used there was bride and bridegroom. And similarly in Hindu Special Marriage Act, the term the man and the woman are used to define the eligible age of marriage at the time of marriage.
So you want to say that indirectly both the statute manifest that it should be a marriage between a man and woman only? Yes,
not indirectly, directly also. Because it's there in the section itself. If a section 2 is talking about what constitutes a valid marriage, then only there in the subsection they have clearly mentioned the bride should have attained the age of this 18 years and the groom the age of 21 years. So it is implied it is a union between a biological and a biological woman. The term and itself or and dono ka.
Yes.
If the council is satisfied with if the Lordship is satisfied with the answer of the council, then the council would like to move on to the next issue.
Yes, you can.
Thank you, my Lordship. The issue second, whether or not the civil rights can be granted to the members of LGBTQIA community. The council, on behalf of the respondent, humbly submits that civil rights must not be given to the members of LGBTQ community, as it would be in violation of the existing codified laws and personal laws. And refer to be made on para 6 of the proposition, which says the court, the Court of Republic of Replemento has rejected the plea and said the decision of civil rights of LGBTQ community was neither discussed nor upheld. Also, recently a 3-judge bench of Supreme Court on July 11, 2019 has dismissed a plea which was filed by Tushar Nayyar, a review seeking review of its order, which had rejected a plea seeking various civil rights. The court, by dismissing the impliedly said that they can't grant civil rights to the LGBTQIA community, as this would only disrupt the age-old cemented, system cemented over years, and would complete chaos with the existing laws. Also, the Supreme Court said that there is a legitimate state interest in limiting the civil rights. Like also in the case of Jagmohan Singh versus State of UP and the Common Cause versus Union of India, it was clearly said that it was, the matter was raised there, and said the court said that there should not be identical transplantation of Western ideology in our country, looking at the cultural diversity and religion diversity of Republic of Replimento. We cannot enforce any abrupt changes to the people, it would only bring resistance among the people, not the acceptance which we always hope. And a change cannot be bought in a single day. So the council humbly submits that based on the stated arguments, the civil rights must not be granted to the people of LGBTQIA community.
I have got a question.
Yes,
Exceptions are there both under the Marriage Act and also the Special Marriage Act. I'll give you one example. One of the essential ingredients of a valid marriage of a Hindu is Saptapadi, that is going down the sacred fire 7 times. It is one of the essential ingredients for recognizing a Hindu marriage, not a Hindu marriage. Now, there are Nayas community in Kerala. They don't lit up a fire. They only keep the flower of a coconut tree. And similarly, the Reddy community of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they also don't utilize a fire. But those marriages are also recognized as an exception. Why not this also be an exception under the Act? Marriage of the LGBT.
Thank you for the question, my lordship. But those exceptions are applicable to only heterosexual people. The bride, and not homosexual people, because the acts talked about homosexual. Then how can we apply to them? That's why. If the council is satisfied, if the lordship is satisfied with the answer of council, the council would like to invite my council to move forward issues and the prayer.
Greetings, Your Lordship. Yes, the Council seeks permission to proceed with issue 3.
Yeah, please proceed.
So I would like to apologize in advance because I have a dust allergy and I might need to switch off my mic for sometimes. So issue 3 talks about whether or not the customs, traditions, rites, rituals form an exhaustive code as contended by the Republic of Replimento. The Council, on behalf of respondent, would like to humbly submit that customs and traditions do form a exhaustive code as contended by the Republic, because we know custom is a habitual course of conduct observed uniformly and voluntarily by people. Custom occupies an important place in regulation of human conduct in almost all the act. It is one of the oldest sources of lawmaking. Custom is created by the people by their unconscious adoption of a certain rule of conduct. Also, custom is some kind of special rule which is followed from time immemorial. Certain laws are also based upon customs, and of course they are known as customary law. Custom as a source of law involves the study of a number of its aspects: its origin, its nature, its importance, reasons for its recognition, its classification, its various theories, its distinction with prescription and usage, and of course essentials for custom. The chief characteristic of a custom is that it is generally an observed course of conduct. Customs and traditions, they form a very vital and integral part of our society. We just cannot do away with them. These customs have always formed the binding cement for us, for the society. Now, even over the years, Supreme Court has taken differing views while dealing with personal laws and customs. dealing with personal laws and customs, because customs, they also form a basis for formation of personal laws. In a number of cases, it has been held that personal laws of parties are not susceptible to Part 3 of the Constitution, dealing with fundamental rights. Therefore, they cannot be challenged as being in violation of fundamental rights. Now, the case of Krishna Singh versus Mathura Ahir, the case of Maharishi Avdesh versus Union of India, and the case of Ahmed Action Group India. All of these cases, there was similar kind of judgment made by different courts, which is laws, whether codified or uncodified, whether in force at the time into the constitution or enacted thereafter, are not susceptible to the chapter on fundamental rights, and therefore cannot be voided on the touchstone of part 3 of the constitution. For all we know that there is a six-fold test laid down in the case of Gokul Chand versus Parveen Kumari, which uh, forms six tests for a custom to be termed as valid. The custom has to have ancient. The custom is to be invariable and continuous. The custom is supposed to have a clear and unambiguous evidence. The custom is supposed to be reasonable, and the custom is supposed to not be opposed to morality or public policy, and of course it should not be opposed to any law. And the customs which we are talking about here are, of course, they pass all the tests given here, therefore the customs are valid, and it would be completely unnecessary to do away with them. We know that in the early stages of the society, the customs were the most important, and in some cases they have also formed the sole sources for formation of laws. The customs lies in the foundation of all legal system. They came into existence with the existence of the society. Custom is the repeated practice of a primitive society. Custom is a rule or practice which is followed by the people from time immemorial. Customs which are rationalized are supposed to be followed by people until and unless they are discriminatory in nature, which, talking about the present customs at hand, they have passed all the six-fold tests. The various factors which make a custom binding are readiness, peaceful enjoyment, certainty, conformity with public policy and statutes, and morality. And hence, custom form an exhaustive code. Also, the council would like to point to the matter that in Ahmedabad Women Action Group case, different organizations had challenged through various petitions a number of discriminatory aspects of personal laws, both codified and uncodified. But the court, relying on the earlier decisions, held pertain to legislative action, and the court could not intervene. Similarly, in our case, when the petitioners are seeking for things, they need there is nothing for the judiciary to get into it. The new laws can be formed only by the legislature, and hence their petition is missed here in the court. If your lordship is satisfied, the council seeks permission to move to the next issue.
But I think you should agree that the custom and usage changes from time to time. What was there 100 years back, the same custom it cannot be implemented today. Earlier, you had a joint family system in India, and you might have seen in your childhood the custom and usage is different than what is today. Particularly the untouchability. That has been it was a practice in the olden time. Today, we accept everyone in humility. And secondly, and basic structures of the constitution cannot be affected. So what do you say about it?
Thank you for the question, Your Lordship. The Council would like to say that regarding the matters of joint family and all, there was, of course, a custom, and now there have been nuclear families and smaller families practicing, which we, of course, know is another matter for unhappiness and chaos in the society. And if a as it clearly said, that it cannot be in violation of Article 14 of the Constitution, which is right to equality. So the council would like to point out that all the fundamental rights, are of course given to the transgenders as well as to the said community. We are here to discuss the matters of civil rights here. So even the things that come under Article 14, they pertain to fundamental rights, and fundamental rights are already available to them. Right against discrimination and everything. We are here to talk about civil rights, and that's what the council is contending.
Yes. What is the next issue?
Your Lordship, my next issue, whether or not members of the community can be allowed to get married as per the rituals of their respective religions. The council, on behalf of respondent, humbly submits that members of the said community must not be allowed to get married. We know that the 2018 judgment, which is the Navteej Singh Johar versus Union of India judgment, it merely decriminalized homosexuality or lesbianism. It did nothing more, nothing less. The center has also said that there is a legitimate state interest in limiting recognition of marriage to opposite sex couple. The legitimate state interest lies that marriage cannot be a private affair because marriages invoke age-old customs, rituals, practice, cultural ethos, and societal values of India. Also, the recognition of same sex marriage is not in consonance with the Indian family concept of husband, wife, and children, and it essentially goes against a solemn institution between a biological man and a biological woman. It also states that marriage between two individuals of same sex is neither recognized nor it is codified under any statutory law or uncodified personal law. It is to be further noted that the question of whether or not to legalize same sex marriage is not under the purview of courts, and the courts cannot create a new right through the process of judicial adjudication. It is added that it is for the legislature to decide on the question, and hence the petitioner's pleas are totally unsustainable, untenable, and misplaced. Because we know that marriage is an institution that, according to different personal laws of this country, marriage rights follow differently. For example, if we talk about Islam, Muslim personal law, and Christian personal law, in both of the laws, homosexuality is considered as a sin. There is assigned a death penalty for homosexuals. Even if there has to be brought a change, we just only changing the marriage laws won't suffice. We will have to change the adoption laws. We will have to bring inheritance and succession laws. We will have to bring changes in the divorce laws. We will have to changes in domestic violence and dowry prohibition laws. Everything will have to be changed, and our country is not in a position to deal with so much of chaos and now. We are already in the mid of pandemic, and also its religious sentiments. Section 498 of IPC, uh, as I have already mentioned, that even it will have to be changed, because only bringing change in marriage laws won't suffice. Marriage, they will, of course, because every law which is related to marriage talks about a man and a woman. So there will have to be a change. Our country is not in a position to deal with that right now, and hence, as the council already stated, that their petition is misplaced because it's for the legislature to make a new law and not for the judiciary. Hence, the council humbly submits that the homosexual should not be allowed to get married. If your lordship is satisfied with the arguments.
You have referred to this Navteej Singh Johar's judgment, that is 2018, NSCC page 1. You say that the deals with only Article 377 of IPC. That may not be correct, because Justice Indu Malhotra, in that one of the judges, observed that the mere fact that LGBT person constitute a minuscule fraction of the society cannot be a ground to deprive them their fundamental rights guaranteed by Part 3 of the Constitution. Even though the LGBT constitute a sexual minority, members of the LGBT community are citizens of this country who are equally entitled to the enforcement of their fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 14, 15, 19, and 21, and fundamental rights guaranteed to all citizens alike, irrespective whether they are numerical minority or a that modern democracies are based on the twin principle of rule and the protection of the fundamental guaranteed of the coast. So, based on this observation of Justice Indu Malhotra in Navtesh Singh Johar's judgment, how to the ratio laid down by the court applies to this particular case of yours.
Thank you for your question, Lordship. The council would like to point out that Honorable Justice Indu Malhotra talked about the protection under fundamental rights, and the council would like to bring notice that already the fundamental rights are made available to the transgenders as well as the LGBTQ. They have the fundamental rights like right to education and right to vote, which is a legal right. The contention here is civil rights, and the most of which is right to marry. That is what we are here for, and we are contending that right to marry is a civil right. So it should not be given to them because it is against the cultural ethos and public morality of the society.
You want to make a distinction between civil right and the fundamental rights, irrespective of the Universal Charter of Human Rights.
Your Lordship, fundamental rights are different than that of civil rights. Fundamental rights are, of course, available to them. All the 6 fundamental rights are available to them, and they are equally entitled to protection as general heterosexuals are. Of course, the civil rights are not available to them because according to various religions practiced in this country, the people of this country are highly religious. Anything and everything which goes against the religious sentiments is very strongly contended by the people, and hence giving them the right to marry would of course be done away with. If my lordship is pleased, the council seeks permission to move to the prayer. The council, on behalf of the respondent, humbly prays before this honorable highest court that in light of the facts presented, issues raised, arguments advanced, and authorities cited, the honorable court may be pleased to adjudge and declare that the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954 should be held in their pious value and should not be interpreted or amended to include the members from the LGBTQI++ community. The members of the said community should not be granted civil rights because it will disrupt social order and it is stringently in contravention with the ethos of the country. The members of the community should not be allowed to get married as it will disrupt the moral fiber of the society and or pass any other judgment, order, direction or belief that this honorable court may deem fit in the interest of justice, equity and good conscience. And for this, the respondent as in duty bound shall humbly pray. Respectfully submitted, counsel for the respondent. Thank you. Thank you, Your Lordship.
Wonderful. I think all of you have done your submissions very well, and you made a point to the extent of the issue raised from your end, both the councils and the respondents' council.
Your Lordship,
Your
Lordship, sorry for the interruption. We have the side from the petitioner side. We have some questions to the respondent side as well.
Yes.
I would like to say something. You can't question us directly in the rebuttal round. You just have to mention the things which you want to state. You cannot question us in rebuttal rounds if you are known to the rules of rebuttal.
Yes. Petitioners may rebut right now, and then the rebuttal goes to the respondents.
May I proceed, Your Lordship?
Any queries? Yes.
On the side.
Yes.
Your Lordship, the petitioner has certain questions. The respondent Article 32 in his memorial under statement of jurisdiction, which clearly evident that the respondent has not understood the fact as it is filed pending before the courts and the Supreme.
You are referring to the Constitution of India.
No, Your Lordship. I am telling that the respondent has mentioned in his statement in his memorial of under a statement of jurisdiction that the respondent, the case is under Article 32 of the Constitution. We are opposing.
Article 32 is the direct extraordinary jurisdiction of the Supreme Court.
But sir, but your lordship,
to entertain a petition.
But your lordship, in the cited fact, the number of the cases where the similar cases were pending before different high courts, and the Supreme Court so much to take the cognizance under Article 139 of the Constitution.
139A, under Article 139A, the Supreme Court has a right to transfer all the matters pending before the High Court to its own court, if it is of general interest, of the interest of the society. And that is a petition filed under the extraordinary jurisdiction of the High Court under 226. They can be transferred. Even civil matters also, whether it is suppose if it is a divorce matter, and the problem is with the jurisdiction. The wife is staying in another state, in one state, and the husband is staying in another state. Why put the Supreme Court for transfer? It will be cancelled.
Yes, sir.
Subject to appreciation of the question of facts in its true perspective.
Yes, sir, Lordship. The another question to the respondent side is that they, in their memorial, they confined and compared the rights of LGBTQIA community to the personal laws of every religion. Why they do not take into consideration the respective religions of different ethnic groups and tribal community? Could they compare the respective religions of such community to the personal laws of different religions as well? And the respondent first in his argument has stated that the act of homosexuality could not be implanted in the country of Republic of Replimento from the Western culture. The petitioner would like to inform your lordship that such kind of act as already in existence in the Republic of Replimento.
I think you have already covered during your first submission itself.
Thank you.
Yes, Vishal madam.
Respondents may rebut, sir. Respondents may start rebuttal. It's respondent.
Yeah. First of all, your lordship, the respondents would like to bring notice to the fact that petitioners have written the name of the petitioner itself wrong. It's Rainbow Non-Profit Organization and not the queer community and NGOs. Secondly, in their jurisdiction, they have mentioned that they have approached the court under section of CRPC. This is not a criminal matter, hence this jurisdiction and this contention is wrong. Talking about issue 1, in the paragraph 2, they are talking about the applicability of the act, Hindu Marriage Act, which extends to Buddhism, Jainism, and etc. But they should also remember that the act does not extend to LGBTQ. It is not mentioned anywhere, hence it cannot be interpreted in that way. In paragraph number 3, Navtej Singh Johar judgment does not talks about same-sex marriages at all. That a footnote is that line and that statement is made by them is very erroneous. Coming to issue 2, in their paragraph number 7, they have cited a foreign case. The foreign cases are not relevant in our country because because of the difference of cultural diversity, so they don't hold any water in the present case. In their paragraph 8, they talk about the protection given. They talk that the protection must be given to the LGBTQ community people, which has already been given to them. Your lordship, I'll just take 30 seconds more and complete my sentence.
Okay.
The contention here is not protection against anything because that comes under fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are already available to them. We are here for civil rights. And also talking about 7 to 8% of the community, there is no valid citation from where they have put that up. And of course, in Union Declaration of Human Rights, Section 2 talks about not to discriminate people on the basis of sex. It's nowhere mentioned not to discriminate people on the basis of their sexual orientation. And they talked about Sati Pratha and patriarchy. These were the things that were brought changes after the legislature stepped in. And patriarchy is something that was not in our society from the start. It was after the advent of Mughals. So we are just giving back the women what we took away from them. And In their paragraph 19, it must be noted that the community already has the right to vote, which they have erroneously mentioned that they don't. Therefore, the respondent submits. Thank you.
How do you say that the foreign judgments cannot be made applicable because of the different usage and customs?
Your Lordship, because the case they have cited is from America. America is completely different than Replemento, because in America the majority religion is just one religion, but in our country there are so many religions. People, even for every 100 200 kilometer, even the languages change. There is so much of cultural diversity there. We cannot just implement anything that America does. And also in the case of Jagmohan Singh versus UP, and in the case of Common Cause versus Union of India, the court has already said that direct implication of Western ideologies cannot be made in our country.
I think may not be right, because in America also there is a unity in diversity. The culture differs from state to state. And secondly, every religion is given equal respect in USA. You can, as a Hindu or the Americans of Indian origin, they practice Hinduism, they practice Sikhism, they practice Buddhism. And secondly, coming to in our Indian court, we regularly refer to the foreign judgments. Suppose actus facitium nisi mens rea, that intention has to be interpreted. We refer to the good old judgment of the Queen's Bench or King's Bench, or UB Jus, UB Remedial. Again, we refer to the judgments of the foreign courts.
Sure, Lordship, but foreign judgments only have the persuasive power. They cannot be formed as a basis to pass judgments, because our country is totally different from them. They only have persuasive power.
We only follow the ratio means laid down in their judgment to substantiate a particular point.
Your Lordship, you are right indeed. But still, the council contends that there is a lot of cultural diversity from their country to our country. Hence, we cannot just implement whatever they do in their society and all. Thank you, Your
Yes.
Lordship.
So
Yes,
you may
yes.
give the feedback, sir.
My feedback?
Yes, sir. To all the council.
Yeah, it was a very wonderful court proceeding, and every counsel appearing for the petitioner and also the respondents were simply brilliant. And that speaks that you have done a lot of research and made your points very clear. So, and I wish all of you all the best. And you are all student of the law college, and I'm sure once you join the legal profession, you'll become very good lawyers like our Manav.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It means a lot to us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We are deeply grateful, sir, for having you on these rounds. Thank you so much, sir.
It's my pleasure. We see the knowledge has to be gained, because learning is a never-ending process. Till we leave our last breath, we go on learning. Today, I have learned so many things from the councils presenting their respective matters, which I'm going to utilize in future. So that is how it is always beneficial. Thank you, Manav, for giving me this opportunity to preside over this virtual court.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We request the participants to leave the room so that marking can commence.
I cannot see the option for leaving the room in my screen, on my screen.
Pushta, kindly do the needful.
Thank you.
You can remove the audience also, Pushta. You can shift the audience to another room. So the pass, were you able to utilize that message, sir?
Which one?
The pass message which I sent you regarding Telangana police.
Yeah. No, I'm not utilized yet.
Okay.
I think the marks I'm seeing.
Okay, sir. Sir, if you wish to see the court proceedings of other courtrooms, you please let me know, sir. I can shift you to the other courtrooms as well.
No, but let me first do the marking.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, yes.